Good morning, gang. Good morning. It's raining out here, raining, so I can't put the camera right outside. I've tucked it back under the balcony a bit, so we're looking out towards the road. So we don't quite get the, don't quite get a wider view as normal. But look at this, you can see our Onigawara. Down at the bottom of the camera there's a tree on the right hand side, the left hand side. The red bar is our balcony rail. It's the outside rail of the balcony on the third floor. And the darker thing you see is the top side of what's called the Onigawara. Oni is a devil-like creature, and Kawara, tile, roof tile. And we have a roof tile that looks out between the second and third floor. It looks out and keeps away. You tell me, what's it keeping away? Evil? It's looking roughly north. We have a funky old building, It's got this Oni tile. It's not a gargoyle in the sense of those gargoyles were actually rain spouts, Desho. This is not a rain spout, it's just a tile. If you Google it, just Google the term Onigawara. You can see it. It's just like horns and fierce and looking out. And no, the temple is off to the north east of us. Our building is we're on a funky street. We're on a crooked street, but our building is crooked on the crooked street. So we face almost actually straight north, not a little bit east. Keeping out evil spirits, I guess that's the idea, of course. So. I'm right in the middle of two of them. The Onigawara is just below me. I can see it just poking out here to my left. I'm sitting at the same level that tile is. I can see it at my left-hand side. And just above me on the roof of the third floor is our Shachihoko. It's the half fish, half tiger, also warding off evil spirits. I'm sitting in a very safe place here. Okay, I'm really running late this morning. Really late. I had a ton of stuff to do. I was a bit late getting up. I fooled around too much getting other stuff done. And I just now remembered to bring the paper out of the freezer. So it's not frozen because there's only a few copies here, but it's cool. So it'll take me a few minutes to get this going. And we got email after the last stream. Did I get email? People were convinced I have destroyed this batch of prints, First things first, this is still really sort of testing. It's a new block set. We're not like testing one by one. This is a batch of, 20 sheets of paper or something. This is not a main run for waiting customers and stuff like that. We're still getting the block set warmed up, tested up, and making sure it's okay. So even if they all turned out to be no good, it wouldn't be a disaster. But actually they are all, except for the first two, the ones where we saw the black marks on the background. And people are sending emails convinced that, oh my God, they're all spoiled. There's red marks over all of them. What are you going to do? And oh my God. The prints are okay. We'll talk about it as we go through the stack today to see them. Paper's a bit drier. I mean, the newspaper here is a bit drier than it should be. When is it? It's been 3 days since we did this. And even when you put them in the freezer, they still dry out. So this paper should have been touched up. If I had really been on the ball, I would have brought it out yesterday, checked the moisture, touched it up. Yeah, the freezers are dry. I mean, you put food in there, and they will dry out absolutely. I mean, that's where the ice inside the freezer there keeps building up. It's from moisture that is coming out of the stuff that's in the freezer. So things in there dry out. Okay, we've done 2 colors on this thing, right? We've done 2 colors. We've done the gray background color, and we did the red. And after the stream yesterday, or whatever it was, after the stream, I took it downstairs again. And I've now cleaned up the last things that needed to be cleaned up on it. I hope everybody understands, I think Taranka was here the other day when he was on here. And I really want to avoid a situation where I'm dissing people. Taranka has done a fine job. The carving is okay. Lots and lots of our prints. Everything I've made over the past 25 years works the same way. I carve it, get it going, bring it up to the bench, try it, take it back to the carving bench, and you cut a few little things deeper where they need to be done. So please understand, this is the normal part of the procedure. The awkward part here is because Taransan's on the other side of town, he's not here to do this. He sent me the blocks, we do the testing, and if he was in the next room working for us, he would then step up to the plate and do the adjustments. So this is a normal part of the process. I got an email last week where, you're saying bad things about somebody on the stream, and I really hope that's not the case. This is normal. Anyway, here we are. So the block has now been touched up. You can see the places where we talked about the other day. And this block is now ready for production, I think. So today we'll move on to the next one. If I can find it. Okay, what do we need? We need a gray brush. It's all dry. Oh, paste. What did I do? Yeah. Paste. That was something else too. There's stuff that happens on the stream that I really don't myself, know what's going on. I did this the other day. I showed you the paste and mixed it, and it seems that this was a real big deal. There's people are like, they had never seen how to do this before. So whatever, we're going to do it again today because we have to do it, but here we go. The paste as it comes is absolutely too thick. Another thing I didn't mention about the water, and this was also asked in an email the other day. The water, somebody was saying, I think it was a question on the stream itself, on the chat itself. Do we use distilled water or tap water? Normally in Japan, the tap water is okay, normally. The problem comes if you're in an older building. The water that the city gives us is fabulous. It's clean, it's clear, it's filtered, it's okay, it's everything perfect. But coming through pipes of an old building change things. And we have experienced the beginning of the Great Wave where we had rust spots in our prints, and it had come from the water in an apartment building. And this building here too is old. So what we use here is we use heavily filtered water. We have one of those Scandinavian something that's not Brita, I forget what it's called. It's a filtered thing attached to the sink here. And all the water for moistening the prints, the water that's in my bucket here, water in my bucket that I'm using, and the water in the squirt bottle for the pigments and the paper, everything goes through that filter. And maybe there's still minerals and stuff in it, I have no idea, but what's not in it are particles of rust. That's the main concern for us. Not quite dripping. Should do. Now I have no idea the density of the gray that's left. The gray that I left behind last time was simply some sumi in water. It's evaporated. I have no idea what level is left. So let's start again. Oh, the brown that's red. Might be somewhere on there, I guess. Might be a bit too dark, not quite sure. We're going to keep the adjustment of the dark and light. I've got water, and I've got the black gray pigment that we just mixed, and the paste, and the adjustment of those three are going to do us. Okay, the paper. On top here we have the two sheets that are already spoiled. We have the two sheets. The one sheet that I used that funny different brush on, so the background gray is all streaky and whatever. It's also the one that was first in the stack, so we had the red blob at the beginning. So that'll stay at the top. We keep the bad sheets at the top so that they're the first ones for testing. And then we had the other one. This is one that got picked up some black dirt. I was careless on the desk and stuff like that. So the first two sheets are the two sheets that are spoiled. Someone says Dave's shirts aren't covered in ink. Well, they're not covered in ink, but there's ink everywhere. Whatever. I should get aprons and stuff. I don't know. I think I'm going to go get another baren. One sec. I've got to get something from the baren box over on the other side of the room. One sec. Baren hunting. This will do. This will do, this will do, this will do. It's the Kubota number 5 baren. Actually, this baren, you know, I'm choosing it here because it's just about right for this job. This particular job doesn't need power strength, but it needs a little bit of oomph because there's flat lines on it. This baren, this featured in video. You know, the beginnings videos that I did talking about, I don't touch Sugisans. Don't even think about it. I do not touch Sugisans barens. We don't do that. And I can't bring the baren box over here because it's bolted to the floor. When we set up the place here, son was really worried about that. He said, suppose we had a break-in one night, you know. And I'm like, yeah, it's like someone's going to break in here and steal all our barens. He said, well, you never know. One of those tourists that's here, you know, they do the print parties during the day, see what's going on. They come back and they steal the whole baren box. So he bolted it to the floor. He screwed the baren box through to the floor. Like, actually, people can open it and then take out the barons, but whatever, at least they're not going to run away with the box. So I don't know. Anyway, that's why I can't bring it over and show you the box. But is that a top secret thing I shouldn't have mentioned? I don't know. Anyway, so the baren I'm getting here, this is actually coincidentally, this is the Kubota baren. See the mark on it here? It's a cigarette burn, not from me. We don't do any smoking here, and I've never smoked in my life. But it's Kubota-san. He was a heavy smoker. And at some point, he must have had a baren on the table or whatever, and you can make up a story as well as I can make up a story, whatever. And he had a cigarette, must have been sitting on his baren and got called to the phone or something. He came back, and it burned a hole in it. And this is the baren that he gave to me. I talked about it in the beginnings video. He and the Adachi crew came over to the exhibition, and they gave me that baren. It was wrapped up in aluminum foil. You know, I got it, thank you very much, and whatever. So of course, it's not one that he could sell, and I don't care. I'm quite happy. It makes a great story, and I was just so happy to get the baren from him. So this is our Kubota baren. And it's just right for the kind of job we're going to be doing here this morning. That was a fabulous gift, absolutely fabulous gift. So he gave me a damaged baren. It's fine. I mean, you know, what can I say? He makes barens and sells them. He couldn't sell that one. He wanted to give me a gift, and he and I both know it's not, you know, I'm not disrespected because he gave me a baren that was damaged. I'm totally 100% happy with this. Absolutely. No disrespect intended and none taken. Absolutely. Yes, he still makes them. If you go to Matsumoto-san's website, this is not Goto-san we're talking about. This is Kubota-san we're talking about. If you go to Matsumoto-san's website, Wood Like Matsumoto, there's a full page on his in his current catalog about barens, and they're all made by Kubota-san, working together with Suga-san. She's moonlighting at night here, working with Kubota-san to make barens. Okay, it's a bit on the light side. We can darken that up a bit. We want to see the eye a bit more. But as far as registration goes, I think we're in there. The legs fit their space. The beak fits its space. Tarankan has done his job. Registration is bang on. It's Thursday. I wonder if Tarankan's going to drop by today. And this needs some oil. Oh, Taran-san, good morning, good morning. Hello, hello. It's so nice having these new blocks, you know, the old blocks that we had for this, having done so many prints. The registration marks were just chopped up, they were chewed up and inserted, and now to have this new block set with a clean, perfect registration mark in the corner, the printers are just going to zip through this. Okay, I think that's about the level we want. I think somewhere around there. As I said, look at that. The beak fits perfectly in the red. The legs fit where they're supposed to fit. It's looking good. Don't worry about the black spots. This was the dirty print we spoiled the other day. Okay, let's roll. Let's roll. Enough talk. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's roll. So a minute. Someone's asking, what's the white spot below the beak? The white spot below the beak. I don't know what we're at here. The white spot below the beak. Oh, the previous one had that. Yes, yes, yes. Did you see that? First time somebody's noticed that. That's one of the reasons why that one's at the front as well. When I did the sun, oops, just a sec. When I did the sun, I was rubbing with the brush, pigment. A tiny broken brush hair fell off. And on the surface of the wood, mixed with the pigment, was a tiny bit of broken brush hair. And that embedded itself in the paper. The pigment didn't go in. Confused here, what's going on? Nothing gets past you guys to show. Nothing interesting. Nothing gets past everybody out there. Someone's asking what the price for the barons are. They really worth, 150,000 yen or something? Again, for a beginner, it means nothing. You can't tell the difference anyway. But for those of us who've been doing it for many, many, many years, there is a real difference in the quality between a student baron and a real baron. Same with any tools. If you're talking to a car mechanic or something, whatever, there's a cheap wrench and there's a wrench that costs how much, and there's a difference. There really is a difference. You want to complain about expensive tools, go talk to the violin players. They're the ones who have a real problem. Someone's asking about touch up. I know that little bit of white space on that sun. It could, I guess, be touched up. We have a general house rule. We don't touch up pigments. We'll pick cheaty. We pick bark out of paper, stuff like that. But our general house rule is we never take paint brushes and paint over the stuff. It would be too easy to get into that, and our rule is no, we just don't do it. Kubota-san tells stories about the old days, and at Adachi they had a guy, Funabashi-san, and he had a double job at Adachi. This is back in the 1960s, 60s and 70s and whatever. And his job was, he was preparing the hansta, the tracings, was part of his job. And the other part of his job was print touch-up. The stacks of prints would go to him, and he's got there with his brush and his watercolors and all that kind of stuff. And he would be the touch-up man who would do that. He would touch up little white spots or something like that that had been mixed. And I have no inside track on it, how much, you know, how much painting and whatever would have been done. I don't think very much. But something like the one you just saw, that little white spot in the sun, the tiniest dab of pigment on your brush would fix it. Nobody's the wiser. But our policy has been no brush work. Is there overlap of the gray and the red on the neck? Yes, there is indeed overlap. All those lines are, we are not trying to get them to butt up exactly. There is indeed overlap on the gray and the red, and there's another block coming. Remember, there's another darker block coming here. I think what you're talking about is along the bottom here. The red and the gray do indeed overlap. We have not tried to make this, I know, but one more block is coming. If you try and make two colors butt up exactly, almost certainly you end up with little white lines, little white streaks inside them when they slip apart just a bit. And that's really eye-catching. Overlapping is not a problem. And that joint is going to be covered in a minute by the black one, the darker black one, which will totally cover up the overlap section. There's a name for it when you're trying to do it. It's called color trapping in the industrial printing business. They trap colors. And in our world, there's a name for it. If you did have, you've got a blue sky and something going on to yellow, and you cannot overlap even a little bit because it makes a green line or something like this, when it has to be done exactly. The name for it in Japanese is kenuki awase. Ke, hair, nuki, pulling out, and awase is matching it. And you have to match them to the level of the finest human hair. That's just the word, kenuki awase. And we avoid that wherever possible, we avoid it. Girls are going to just blow through this. Once they get started, you know, it's going to be bang, bang, bang. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, bang. Check the other camera for the color to show we've got the color difference in the two cameras. The color we see on the screen here is much more similar to what I now see in real life. This other camera here is something, color balance is a bit funny. It's not all that different. The blues and stuff, I think blues and greens get really changed. Tom's got the question of the week here. This is a question of the week. If the paper got spoiled in the middle, do we transfer it to the top? On a little print like this, we will do this. We will do that. But on a larger print, on a major print, if you're printing an Oban landscape or something like that, if the print is a larger print, the answer has got to be no. If you're doing a run of the Great Waves or something, absolutely no. Because the blocks have been changing dimension as the printing run has been going. And you can't take a print out of sequence because it was printed on a larger or a smaller block depending on where in the run it was done. Now, in this run that we're doing here now, prints of this small dimension and printed on a plywood block, there is no perceptible dimensional change. I mean, Einstein levels of whatever, relativity and stuff, yes. But for us, there's no perceptible dimensional difference here. So on a simple print run like this, absolutely. If you've made a mistake, you do one of two things. You either pull it out and throw it away so you don't get to waste any more time with the other colors, or if you think you might need a few more sheets for testing, you put it at the front of the stack, which is what I did with these things. At the front of this stack here, there are 4 sheets. There's the 2 that are spoiled from the black, and then I've put at the front of the stack the 2 sheets that we got the red marks. Remember, we got a couple of red marks from the sun block up at the top there, and those have been moved to the top. So the size matters or the number of impressions. We're talking about the dimensions. That's why you can't move them around in a stack, because they might be different sizes, different dimensions. That's the critical factor there. For Mokuhankan, mostly with smaller blocks and mostly with plywood blocks, that's much more of a relaxed thing. We could be much looser with that. But if you've got a larger print and you're working on natural blocks with no plywood, you cannot fool around with that. Absolutely, you cannot fool around. Yeah, the larger the print. It's not the print as much, it's the blocks. The blocks are expanding and contracting. The key block for our Great Wave is a natural piece of wood. It's not plywood. And you're printing 10 copies, 20 copies, 30 copies, 40, 50, 60. The wood is getting wider and wider and wider all the way through. According to asking, how do we reconcile a block set with just wood blocks and plywood? We would never, anybody with any sense at all would never, ever, ever make a block set like that. Never, never, never. Our Great Wave is like that because of the trouble we had finding a good piece of wood. I had originally intended on making an all plywood set of blocks for our Great Wave. I did not have a good enough piece for the key block, so it was a last minute change. I knew I was going to get in trouble. I knew. I was going to get in trouble. Whoa, what did I do there? Too dark, too dark. Did I do a double impression by mistake? Look at that, all of a sudden way too dark. That's what I get when I talk to people. What did I do? I picked up the wrong brush, kinda. Back down. Move that one to the top. I'm not going to bother. This is not a major print run, so. Actually, a bit of news yesterday, we found out who is going to be printing the first batch of these, and it is going to be Ayumi-san. We have two Ayumis. It's going to be the baby making Ayumi-san, Mama Ayumi-san. She's coming back next week. And she will be sitting right here. This is her desk, so she's coming back to colonize her desk next week. Back to normal. And her first job is going to be these cranes. So the blocks are just going to sit right here on this bench. Ayumi-san's going to make a batch of them. We'll give her whatever, 100 sheets of paper or something. Or maybe for her first batch, because she's been off for over a year or something, we'll give her a first batch, whatever. She'll do something like I've just done here now as a warm-up batch. 20, 30 sheets or something like that. And if she feels okay, if she's back in saddle, then she'll go for it. And these will go on into the catalog. The gift print is going to go live. The current plan is about September the 20th. Cameron and I will do a mailing. We'll announce the gift print. We'll get the post office schedule for post office and stuff like that. So somewhere around September the 20th, this print will go live. Here's the before. We've done two colors. The gray background is in place and the sun is in place. And now we're going to put the next level. You can see there's a gray in the beak. That comes from the background color. That's also in that area. This is going to be the gift print for 2021 that goes live somewhere in late September. It's not the New Year's card. Don't people confuse the two things. This is not our Patreon gift. This is the gift print that's on our website. So 3 colors done, there are 3 left to go. And we've got here 2, 3, 4, 5 sheets left before we switch to the next color. Again, here's the before. And here's the after. That's 3 impressions done, 3 more to go. Someone's asking, could a beginner do this in a way that looks good? Yes, of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's another black, the red crest is coming, and then there's, oh, actually no, there's 4 more. I'm sorry, there's 4 more. There's another black, there's the legs of the crane, there's the red cap on his head, and then there's the blank embossing. Sorry, 4 more. This is a 7 impression print. Someone's asking about lino. I have mixed feelings about lino. I know it's the same sort of concept, shapes carved onto something, then printed with pigment. But the reason I'm not going to say it's a good way to get started in this is because the whole way pigments go on are different. Lino is done with oil-based pigment. You roll it on. You can wait 15 minutes if you want, whatever, put it on, and the pigment sits on top of the paper. What we're doing here, it's water-based pigments. It has to be done quite quickly, and the pigments go deep into the back of the paper. So the finished result has a completely different appearance. So the workflow is a little bit different. The finished material is a bit different. It's quite different. So I'm not so sure I can say try lino as a warm-up to this, because you're going down a street that's moving in a different direction. And if you decide to like it, you're going to have to back up out of that street, then go into the woodblock street on this side. So lino is a thing, it's interesting, it's attractive, but it's not step 1 towards doing what we're doing here, I'm sorry. Lots of nice comments today, thank you very much. Thank you, we're having fun with this. It's not the most interesting kind of streaming in the world, but whatever, we have fun with it. Two sheets left, then we'll switch colors. The other major difference too with us and lino is when you're using oil-based inks like that, you got a real cleanup problem, and maybe you got to get a press and you need a workshop. This stuff that we're doing here, there's no cleanup. It's tabletop. You can do it literally on your kitchen table. When you're finished something, clean it up, then make dinner on the table. It's a minimally invasive stuff. There's no dangerous products. It's really easy to get started. Okay, that's our run with 3 colors. Let's flip the stack. So the last one's on top. We're going to flip them now, and the last one will be on the bottom. That's stack number 2. Stack number 1. So we're going to start again with the same one, the one that had the black markings on it. One block out and another block in. Is the camera getting rained on? It is raining out there. Can we move it up just a sec? Let's see. Is my camera in danger? I've got a plastic bag on top of it. Hang on a sec. Are we okay? I have the camera shrouded in a bag with a hole cut in the side of it with the lens peeking out. So I think we're okay. Water may be dripping off the bag and stuff down in front. If I go and touch it and muck with it, the cable will get borked for sure. Yeah, I can see. It's raining onto the bag. The bag is shaking. I think we're okay. What's the worst that could happen? It's okay to show. Keep me in touch. Ah, the noise, the sound. Should I turn off the audio? I'm going to need some black. Okay, hang on a sec. Let me recharge my black. This is not going to be enough. Well, maybe. Let's try. Let's try. Let's try it. I may need to recharge it. Let's see. Do I have AC on? There's a fan-like noise in the background today. I have nothing on in the machine, but I put our Drobo backup machine back to life. It's sitting over there in the corner humming at me. So that's one thing. And then outside, the outside camera has a mic which picks up the external air conditioners. But I have my own AC is off. It's cool here this morning. So here we are. It's got three colors: background gray, sun, and then medium gray. Let's see how it looks. So that area before where people were thinking about the problem with the overlap of the red and the gray, it's now been completely covered. We're okay on that. But we do have one more problem. I'm going to have to run downstairs for a minute. Okay, do you see now, we had the red the other day coming over, and we've got the same thing here. Look, the black here. Do you see it? There's two places here where the black is smearing. Up at the top it looks okay, but down at the bottom here I am going to have to chop this off. You can see it's the same place we had before. The shoulder isn't quite low enough. I don't have a knife with me, so I'm going to have to pause here. I don't have a knife. There's one on Subisan's desk, but no way. So give me 1 more minute, get downstairs, get a little chisel. I'll be back in 1 or 2 minutes, excuse me. Entertain yourself for a minute. Actually, no. Plan B. Instead of bringing my chisel up here, I'm going to take the block downstairs and do a couple of quick fixes downstairs. It'll take me about 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes. I will be back here in a couple of minutes. What can I do to leave you something to entertain yourself? Nothing. It's okay. You can take care of yourselves. Back in a few minutes. Here's the embossing block if you want to have a look at it. Back in 2 or 3. Thank you. Are we going home? Oh, I should have put up the outside camera. Nanda. I got dough for brains these days, you know. I should have put up the outside camera. Sorry. What's his messages? You should check the cheek of the bird. I think there was another problem. When I went round the thing, let's have a look. You mean, where are we here? Yeah, you're talking about this one here, Michelle. I think I got that. Yeah, I think I got that. Not quite sure. Only one way to find out. I've chopped away some. We've still got a bunch of test sheets left. Let's go. So, Dave forgot to turn off his turn signal after coming up the stairs. I don't know what I did here. I brought the knives with me. If we have to cut a bit more, I brought the knives, I brought some chisels, and I brought my little loopy. So let's try. It's hard to see because it's black on black to show. Yeah, we run on test paper, but that really doesn't tell us anything, because even the very first test we did, because the paper is calendared and flat, the very first test we did showed it was okay. And maybe, I know, the carver did the same thing, tested on this kind of paper. But it doesn't actually give you an accurate thing, because the paper that we're using is soft and gets pressed over the carved areas. Can't be helped. It's our life. That's what we do. Okay, let's run another one. It might be 100%, it might not be 100%. Let's have a look and see. Again, this is another spoiled sheet because of the black dots. So. I try and avoid jamming the paper down too hard. But it's got to be printed, so let's have a look. What's the verdict? Seems okay to me. If you see something, speak up. We'll watch carefully the next few copies. Dot behind the eye. Let's see. Critics from 1,000 miles away. Let's see. There's still that same little dot behind the eye. I gotcha. Let's get in there. Anything else while we're at it? There's another one there too. My eyes aren't up to this, you know, absolutely my eyes aren't up to this. Okay. The sun has a dot near the leg. I don't know. We're just talking about the black here. We're just talking about. No. This is again. That's old news. You're talking about this stuff. That's old news. That's back when we did the sun. Nothing to do with this current block. It looks like we're close, we're okay, but there's no way now that I can't pass this block to Ayumi-san and say, go for it, bang, bang, bang. After I'm finished this tester down. So I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to shave off still some more. We've got to shave off some more of those shoulders because it's a little bit, it's really, really close still, really close. Looking good, looking good. how's our time? Oy, 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 oy. This reminds me, we got a bunch of blocks last week from Yahoo Auction. We've been buying older blocks wherever we can find them. And the older blocks, they show the same kind of story all the time. In fact, I could almost make a blanket statement. There's no older blocks that we get here, and we're talking about the Doi Hunga blocks or the stuff we buy at random from Yahoo Auction. There's no older blocks that don't show the scooping marks from the printers. You can tell the chisel marks from the carvers and the chisel marks from the printers are completely different. The older printers kept a scooping chisel at hand on their bench. And for the times when the block was a bit too shallow or the block expanded more than the carver had expected to, the printers would scoop it out. And without exaggerating, there's no old blocks that we have that don't show those scooping marks. So what you're seeing here is an absolutely normal part of our testing and running. I'm a bit of a special case because I do both, so when Dave is carving, he's thinking ahead already. He knows what's going to happen next week. But the carvers who don't print don't have that last little bit of knowledge. People complaining about the black screens. I don't know. I don't think it's something at my end. We're streaming normally. My dashboard here is showing green lights. I don't know what the problem is. Has Twitch upgraded their JavaScripts or something and it's causing people trouble? I don't know. I think we're rolling okay. I have to keep careful because it's possible they come. The wood there is expanding with the moisture from this pigment, and it expands bit by bit by bit. So I have to be careful in the next little while here. I can imagine what it's like, in a place like the Adachi workshop. In the Adachi workshop over in Mejiro, there's two major rooms upstairs, before the renovation, and the printers are all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 printers in one room. And there's a couple of separate rooms where the carvers work. And they've got to keep them separate because the carving work really, as you know, can be noisy. And when you've got 2 or 3 carvers working every day, there's always going to be some kind of persuading happening. So it can be really kind of noisy. So they've got them in separate rooms. But they are side by side. I can easily imagine when they're doing a test printing like this, the printer will run it off and he's going to throw that block back next to him. Okay, guys, over you go. Fix it. And the carvers will fix it right there and then. They're in the next room. Back it comes to the printer. He'll run. And maybe during the printing run, if they're doing 100 or so, again, the block might be expanding a bit, so the printer might get a problem partway through. But if the carvers are right there in the next room, bang, call them in. Hey, guy, chop it a bit deeper, please. We're looking good. I think we're fine. We're past our slight teething trouble and we're looking good. I think this is, I don't know what Taransan's talking about here. Dave is being fantastic, letting me try projects like this. Oh, coupe, show and tell. Etone. Okay, hi. There's no imbalance here. This is perfect kind of work for Taransan. He can do a very nice job with the lines and everything else. And if it's experience for him, that's fine too. So this is a perfect match. I'm not doing Taransan any favors here at all. This is normal work for both of us. We're fine. Okay, someone's asking about S&T. Let's do this. I have actually a strange schedule today, and in fact, I can tell you right now, my schedule next couple of days is really full. I'm going to leave this right here, and when we come back here on Saturday morning, I'm going to be picking up exactly where we left off here. Same color, same brush, same everything. I'm not going to do any more work on this today. I'm going to throw it in the freezer, and I have a ton of other work to do today. And I've got to get on the train. Somewhere around noon, I've got to get on the train. Is Cameron-san here? Okay, let's have a look at a quick show and tell. And it's funny, the show and tell thing I've got for you today is an object that would need 2-3 hours to look at properly, but. Not only do I not have 2 or 3 hours, but I couldn't spend 2 or 3 hours on this object. I'll explain what I mean when I get to it. It's an object from the past, in an era when people were different and people talked different and people thought different and people were really different from what they are nowadays. This is a book. This is a present. It was given to me by my friend Mark Kahn. He visited here in Japan a few years back. It's decades back. I don't have any idea how long ago it was. And Mark knew the Japanese rules, or he felt he knew the Japanese rules, and he wanted to bring me a really nice present. I'm like, Mark, it's okay, I'm happy to see you, but he did bring this really nice present. But it's really interesting. And he must have felt the same thing that I do about this. It's a glorious, wonderful, incredible object, and yet you sit there and like, okay, what am I going to do with this? And Mark had that situation, and I had this situation, and I'm thinking that people, when they made this back years ago, they must have been in the same position. Let me try and explain what I'm saying. This is a book. Is the camera... Stay. It's a Hasegawa book. And look at the thickness of this. This is a Hasegawa crepe paper book. Normally they're about this thick. And this is 1, 2, 3. It's like 4 crepe paper books thick. And every page of it is beautifully made and carefully creped. This is the version of the crepe books where the text is done with metal type. I mean, these guys were insane, but they weren't that much insane. This is not all carved lettering. The illustrations, which are on every page, are all full-color woodblock prints. And every page of this book, you know how, we've talked about it many times before, every page of this book, the way it folds out like this, was a multicolored woodblock print, and then creped. The construction costs for a book like this I have no idea. I don't have enough zeros on my computer here to type the value of what it would have cost to make this thing. The original, they did it twice. They did it once in German, and then they did it again in English. And actually, maybe there's more. They might have done French, Russian, Spanish as well. I have no idea. But they did do it for sure in German first. And what it is, it's an epic Japanese poem done in German. This German scholar must have done this thing. And he did it the way they used to do poetry back in the 19th century. It is in canto the first, canto the second. It is a major, major, major epic poem. Here in English, it has been transliterated into, well, it is poetry. Does it scan? I don't know. Lo, in the clearing stands a herd of deer, seeking refreshment in the icy stream, which, like a truthful mirror, still reflects the sheen of yonder maples, which the frosts have not yet robbed of their autumnal charms. Now, whatever, we could sort of laugh at this stuff. I'm not really so much into poetry. I understand the concept of poetry as human expression of ideas and stuff. It's sort of halfway between music and halfway between literature. But the idea that I could sit down as a literate person and put this book in my hands and actually read this, lo, does anybody still do this? Can they still do this? Did they actually do this back in the 19th century? The gentleman who did this, Mr. Karl Florenz, and the people who bought this book, did they consume this as a product of poetry? I don't know. I really, really don't know. And I'm not asking this in any kind of sarcastic way. Obviously, the way humans do things over the years changes. Mark had this book, and he couldn't read it even though it's English. I've got this book and I can't read it even though it's English. So for us it's an object to hold, and we hold it full of wonder at, my God, people actually made this thing. Anyway, let's look at the pretty pictures. I don't know. And I imagine if the 19th century scholars, the guy who made this book, the guy who wrote the poem, the people who were, literary people in those days, they would look on me now, this guy from the future who has lost civilization. Because I can't concentrate on something for the hour that it would take me to read this and scan this. But my God, the pictures. How many blocks, how many colors. It's an insane production. Someone's asking, it would be interesting to see the German original. It is, I believe, scanned and online. If you go to a website called, what do they call, Baxley, I forget the name, Baxley Books or something. If you type the word Hasegawa Baxley, B-A-X-L-E-Y, you will get to the guy's website. It's the website of a bookshop somewhere. And he's a scholar. They're a scholar of the Hasegawa work, and they have got tons of it online. From Dave, the interest, of course, is in the technique of the woodblock prints. The print would have been made at a size about 1.3 bigger than this, and then it's shrunk down. Can we zoom in close enough? Can we see the texture? This is the famous crepe paper, the Hasegawa crepe paper. It feels like fabric. If I were blind and holding this object, it would feel like a fabric book. And they last long. The paper really does. It resists the turning and thumbing. And these last long. The illustrations are very much the standard Meiji style. If I had to guess, I would guess the artist for this book was Mishima Shoso. I I don't know why is it called the White Aster. I think that's the code name. It's the poet name for a woman. The woman who is the lady at the heart of this romantic, tragic story. And I believe, again, this is a Japanese story that the German poet put into a German poetic form, and now we have it translated again. So this is the third language version of this story. So people are finding knowledge about it. 1894. Hi. The comparison with Shakespeare and Dante and stuff are interesting. I don't know about this. I know Shakespeare's sonnets and things like that are in an English that is different from the English we have now, but it seems poetic and musical. The stuff to me, and I'm not a literary critic here in any way whatever, but it seems to me the stuff from the 19th century like this, or that era, the late 1800s and 1900s, this seems to me like just melodrama. It's the difference between real drama on the stage and a melodrama to show. I mean, just even some of the lines here. Salt tears of anguish rose, and from her eyes flowed in a copious stream adown her cheeks, staining the sleeves that strove to stem their flood. I don't know, I'm sorry. I know, maybe I'm 100% wrong on this. To me, this is not literature. This is sort of schlock. I'm sorry, I don't know. It's a style of the era, and I whatever. I guess there's people who might shoot at me for this, but whatever. I cannot read this with a straight face. I can do the thing, I can do the voice, I can go down to Studio 2 downstairs, put the mic on and record this, but I'm sorry, I can't. I could not do this with a straight face. So John's got purple prose. To me it seems purple prose. This is the poetic version of what we see at the theater across the street, or down the street here. And to me, I'm sorry, I do not get it. I just don't get it. So we have this massive book, incredible amounts of energy and work and cost going into it. It's a beautiful object. And I guess from the point of view of the people who made this, I am a hick. I'm just a hick, and all I can understand is the pretty pictures. And my defense is, I'm sorry, culture has changed, and what they may have felt was high art back in 1894 is not high art for me at all. I'm sorry. And I'm really curious, people that can read Latin or something, they go back and read Homer in Latin. It wasn't schlock like this, right? I mean, most of Western civilization really, really respects things like that, the old Greek literature and things. Is there a difference? Or these guys fell into some kind of a hole? I don't know. Henceforth, at every hour, my sole endeavor was to clear the clouds of melancholy brooding on his brow. And now, a few days since, ere yet the dawn had fully broke, he took his nets and gun and went towards the mountains, there to hunt. It's a story, it's a story. But I just rather let me read the story. Anyway, enough of that. It is a beautiful, beautiful object. We are not even halfway through thumbing the pages here. I guess, too, the other thing to think about, I'm being a bit too tough on these people. This is 1894. And they want to tell a story. And of course, there's no movies. Movies as a thing, nobody could ever imagine it. There's no movies. There's no TV, there's no radio, there's no nothing. The only way to tell a story is, to write it down on pieces of paper so the person can try and read it, or to tell the story, the era even before writing and stuff. So I shouldn't be so hard on this, because Dave grew up on movies and more real and stuff like that. I look at this stuff and just sort of laugh about it. But maybe if it's 1894 and we're all going to sit in a room together and a guy sits at one end of the room and says, let me tell you a story about White Aster. And we're like, okay, we're going to sit and listen. And he tells us the story. But her rest was much disturbed, For her thin robes, ill sheltering her limbs, she froze as she slept. And maybe those of us in the room in 1894, we'd be shivering because she was freezing and the storyteller was really telling the story very well. But now, here in 2021, we're too cool for that. We've had it all given to us on this massive movie form. And for us, we're too cool for this. So I guess so. I really shouldn't be speaking negatively about this stuff. The negative side is people like us who have changed so much that we can no longer understand and appreciate this. I guess that's it. This stuff hasn't changed. We've changed. Kinda. But the blocks, the carving, you just saw me, people who came into the stream, you saw me fooling around here with this crane for a few minutes. This is craftsman. Go, bang, go, bang, go, bang. It's so well made, you know. They do still tell stories. I know I'm not even 2 blocks away from it. 2 blocks down the street here, the place that's called the Enge Hall. They do storytelling. It's not all joke. They have manzai and rakugo, but they have storytellers, guys that sit up on stage, sit up on the cushions and tell the stories in the old ways. Absolutely. It is a thing. And Mark gave this to me, you know. He came here and he said, I got a little present for you. And, you know, he gave it to me and I opened this thing and like, this is just a casual present from a friend. And, you know, it's stunning. It's like 100 woodblock prints. And Mark just says, here, Dave, I thought you'd like this, you know. And Dave, of course, I love the object. And I'm like, Mark, that's too much. And both of us know that this is a nice thing to have and to hold, but we can't, as I said, we can't actually use this thing. But anyway, he sent it to a place where at least it's going to get photographed at some point when we get down to it. It will go online in beautiful resolution. And Mark brought it to a place where a lot of people will be able to see this thing in the future. So if Mark is seeing this, he's not watching these things, I know. But thanks, Mark. I know. I very much appreciate your gesture to follow Japanese culture and rules and the friendship over the years. You know, he and I have, boy, we go back quite a way, about 20 years, I guess. Mark's in a little bit the same position with me. He's been a print collector for many, many years, got beautiful prints in his collection. He's got 2 daughters who, of course, not any really interested in this at all. And Mark is now sitting there with tons of woodblock prints and 2 daughters, and what's he going to do with this stuff? Same as Doi-san, our friend Doi-san, same position exactly. What to do with these things? I don't know. For me, hopefully the idea is to build an organization here that will be a place that will be the repository for the stuff that I own after I'm gone. That's hopefully the idea here, that this organization can become able to preserve these things. You know, someone like Mark, the only solution is the stuff goes back into the market. Next generation of collectors can bid for it. You know. We are now around halfway through. I think that's enough. We can park it there. I think that's enough. We're not really getting any value of this right now. So anyway, there you have it. Just something to show you. We've got actually a bunch of these books. We've got quite a few of these Hasegawa books. This is obviously the fattest and the largest one that we have. The wind sighed in the trees. Unbearable became the load of bitter memories. The laugh and chatter of my comrades turned to pain, and all the world was bitter. I resolved, manlike, to change my life, and with the change, return, a new man, to my father's house. There's probably a story there, you know. I'm sure there's a story there. There we have it. Okay. Someone's got lots of links to the online version. Thank you very much for backing up on this. Thank you very much. Good. Okay. I'm out of here now. I'm going to be jumping on the train. I got to go visit somebody. Important meeting here today. I got to jump on the train. I'll be back here 2 days from now, Saturday morning, and we will be picking up with my brush exactly at the same point where we left off here a few minutes ago. Thanks for watching, gang. See you in 2 more days. Bye for now. Let's look at the rain and see what's going on. And can we see the truck picking up the bottles? No, I think it's too much out of view down there. He's just off to the left. He's just off to the left. At the very top corner, that's where the truck is picking up the bottles and cans. Yeah, I can hear the bottles to show. So, okay guys, thanks so much. I've had fun today. See you in 2 more days. Bye for now.